Hey everybody, how's it going today? We have a whole collection of books. I'm not going to read them all today, but as you can see, there's a whole bunch of Beatrix Potter books. And I can't find the Tale of the Squirrel and Nutkin, but we've got all the rest. And so today we're going to start with the Tale of Peter Rabbit. And then whether we do them all back to back or if we're just going to do a few and do other ones, I'm not sure. So here we are with the Tale of Peter Rabbit. No, you just hold her still and be a little closer, maybe. The Tale of Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Now, let's see if it says first published 1902. That's a few years ago, isn't it? Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sand bank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. There they are. Now, my dears, said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. That's quite the accident. Don't go there. So looks like you're getting all dressed. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out. Just a bit closer, maybe, or zoom in right here. Get back up a tiny. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. There she's out there walking. Currants are much more common in the UK than they are in North America. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. Birds look like they're helping. I wonder what Peter's doing. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. Looks like he's nibbling on some things he shouldn't be. First he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. He must have ate too much. Oh, but around the end of a cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Oh, I wonder if Mr. McGregor likes bunnies. I don't think so. Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving his rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" He is chasing him. Oh, there's a little shoe, it looks like. Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. He lost them both. I bet he's going to get in trouble over that one. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not, unfortunately, run into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. There he is, caught in the net. That doesn't look very good for Peter. Maybe he'll get caught and eaten. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself, which would mean try harder, keep trying, Peter. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. Oh my goodness, that's pretty close, because there's Mr. McGregor's hands in the basket. He's going to catch him. And rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Splash. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over, carefully looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Ka-choo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. There he is, right there. He's looking. Oh, there's pretty close to a shoe. And tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scuttered underneath the bushes, but presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly from off the wheelbarrow, and started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. There's Mr. McGregor chasing him, and there he's getting under the gate. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Little shoes and little coat. Doesn't look like the blackbirds are too afraid of it. Looks like they're kind of looking at it. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight, which is 2 weeks. There, she's cooking. There's some turnips, it looks like. There he is sleeping. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made him some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoonful to be taken at bedtime. There's the other ones watching. There he is in bed. See, he's peeking out of his cover. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. Well, what do you think of Peter Cottontail? Do you think he was following the rules? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and there's more to come, I guess, so keep watching. Talk to you later.